Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're back with a video kind of taking a tour of what is inside of our board game closet. And we've just picked a few of them to share with you, but our first category is more of the cooperative type games where you're working with other people, which I kind of prefer in a way because I'm not as competitive as Bryce is, but it's still a challenge for both of us. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have Bryce here again and we're gonna do a review of some of the games that are in our board game closet. So the first category is the more cooperative games, which I prefer in a way because I'm less competitive than Bryce is, but anyways, do you want to go through the first two?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first cooperative game we have is called Pandemic. You might have heard of this. It's relatively new. It's come out in the last 10 or so years, I think. So it's a cooperative game. There are basically 4 diseases and all the players have to work together to cure these diseases before they run out of time. It's an especially poignant game now, given everything that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
But it's fun to play. Great if you want a challenge, if you want to be forced to really think critically and try to solve problems in the game, but you want to kind of keep the peace with everyone you're playing with. So definitely a really fun game there.
One thing I want to add about Pandemic is that each player has their own role, and then you use the special skills that role has to work together to come with a solution, which is why it's a little bit more cooperative than the next game we'll talk about.
And one thing I'll add about Pandemic too, it's kind of turned into a franchise of games. There's a lot of different expansions. There are legacy Pandemic games. If you don't know what a legacy game is, it's basically where you buy one game, and as you play the game multiple times, you're required by the rules to make physical modifications to the game itself. So it kind of becomes very much yours, and it plays out more like a campaign of multiple games than it does a single game.
Yeah.
Second game, this is a little bit less cooperative. You work in 2 teams. It's called Catan Sonar. You can play this with up to 8 people on a team, and it's basically a real-time version of Battleship, where each team controls a submarine, and each person on the team is kind of in a different role on the vessel to make sure that all these things kind of to take care of various functions on board in order to hunt down and ultimately destroy the opposing team's submarine. And it's not turn-based. You can play it turn-based, but you can also play it in real time, where you can move and then perform all the required actions in order to kind of validate and verify your move as fast as you want to, and the other team is doing it at the same time. So it's very chaotic, super intense, really fun game with teams. So yeah, that's a great one as well.
The second category of games are much more popular, and they're probably ones that you've heard about or played before, but we really enjoy them, so we thought we'd include them here.
Sure. The first game we have here is Settlers of Catan, or Catan, depending on how you want to say it. So pretty simple game. You're building settlements and cities around different resources to try and collect those resources. So it's got a lot of, I would say, replay value, because the map is kind of made up of these hexagons and you can arrange it countless different ways.
Right.
It's pretty simple. You just have to reach a victory point threshold to win the game, and you can earn victory points by building up your cities and settlements or earning kind of promotional cards or a lot of these other ways. And so it's pretty simple to understand. The strategy behind it can still be very complicated. There's still enough luck involved, and it's still easy enough to learn to where you can play it at pretty much any age. You can only play it with 4 players, although there are expansions that'll let you play with 5 or 6. And like Pandemic, it's a game with a lot of expansions and a lot of kind of spin-offs, like a Star Wars version or like a Game of Thrones version or whatever. So there's a lot of stuff out there on it. It's a pretty old game, been around since the 90s. But super fun to play, super good franchise game, if you will, if you want to kind of nerd out over some Catan. Our second kind of more popular game is Ticket to Ride, and you might have heard of that one as well. You're basically just building railroads across the map in order to either complete your own routes and maximize your score, or to block someone else's routes to kind of get in their way. You can play it with, I believe, up to 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's if you play with 2, there's a lot of room on the map. If you play with more, there's a lot less room. It's a little more cramped.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to Settlers in that there's a lot of expansions or different versions. The original game that we have, it's a map of the United States. You can get one that's like just New York City or just Europe, or there's
the Netherlands.
The Netherlands has one, yeah, and they all have their own different spins on the game. Kind of the same core concept. Fun game to play. If you play it, it can be very cutthroat, like you're cutting people off and being a real meanie person, or it can be a little more. When we play, it's a little more chill.
The last category of games are games that you have probably never heard before, but should definitely consider adding to your game closet.
All right, first one we have here is Scotland Yard. Super easy to learn. The basic premise is you may have heard of Scotland Yard, it's the detective agency in England. The basic premise is a major criminal is on the loose and he's running around London, and 5 detectives are trying to track him down. You can play it with up to 6. The detective is on his own team. Everyone else is on a team trying to corner him and get him. It's a pretty old game. I think it was originally published in like the 1920s.
Oh, wow.
So it's been around a while.
Yeah.
But it's pretty fun. It's easy to learn. A lot of kind of deviousness. I personally might recommend that Mr. X, the criminal, whoever's playing him should maybe wear like a low-brimmed hat or sunglasses to really work on their poker face. But it's super fun, good game to play with a group.
Great for kids too. It's really simple.
Has a slight cooperative element because all the detectives are working on a team. And for that one guy who kind of likes to go against the grain, he can be Mr. X or she can be Mr. X. So you have that too.
Yeah.
And they do have they're still selling it, they're still making it with updated versions. We just looked on Amazon today and they're making new versions that have probably a lot better graphic art than the one that we have, since it's so old.
And I'll link all of these below. The last game, which you probably have never heard of.
This one is called Merchants and Marauders. Basically, you are a enterprising ship captain in the Caribbean around the 16 or 1700s, and it's kind of up to you to decide if you want to just be a peaceful merchant or if you want to go out and do some plundering. And there's kind of risks and rewards to both paths. It's a little more complex and difficult to understand. Takes about 3 hours to play a whole game. You can play with up to 4 players, 2 to 4. So it's definitely fun. It's a little bit more of a board game geeky kind of game in that it's kind of off the beaten path, but still a lot of fun to play.
I will add that while this game is a little bit more geeky, I'm not a board game geek nearly as much as Bryce is, but this is one that I actually enjoy and will actually play with him and be all in on winning. Like, I can really get into this one, where some of the more complex games we have that we haven't shown in this video, they're a little bit harder for me to get into. So I mentioned before that I'd link all of these board games in the description box below for you guys to check out and consider adding to your family game board closet. Game board closet? Is that a thing? Other people have board game closets, right?
A lot of
It's
people.
not just us.
It's not just us.
If you don't, buy these ones.
And if you don't, or even if you do, make sure you like this video, comment below on some of your favorite board games,
Yes.
and make sure to subscribe to see more of this lovely lady's channel. I should have mentioned that I beat your butt in all these games.